Hi, good morning. Today we are going to give 4 equivalent definitions of a basis in a vector space and prove that they are all equivalent. This is all well known. Okay, so let us get started. Let me share the screen. Yeah. So before we go, let me just quickly recall or review some of the basic definitions so that we are on the firm footing. So V be a vector space over a field, okay, possibly R or C or any field, okay, and it could be either finite dimensional or infinite dimensional, okay. We will see what it means later, okay. So the first thing is if suppose v1, v2, vk are vectors in V, I'm not claiming they're all distinct. They may even be, some of them may be equal, okay. These are the thing. A finite linear combination of finite linear combination. This is of course a finite, so I don't write it. A linear combination of v1 to vk is by definition expression of the form c1 v1 plus c2 v2 plus ck vk, where cj's are the scalars. That means elements of the underlying field. Okay, right. So by suppose S is a set, or let us say even v1 to vk, as I said, as this is not a set. If it's a set, suppose v1 equal to vk, I should write it only v1 v3 vk. You understand this? So this in some sense is just a collection. Okay, okay. So what is meant by the linear span? Okay, by linear span of this set, I'll keep calling it set. I hope you all understand. Is the collection of all elements of the form c1 v1 plus ck vk, where cj's are allowed to vary over the field, and 1 less than or equal to j less than or equal to k. Okay, right. Notice that 0 belongs to this. Okay, ls of call it a, ls of a, and each vj also belong to ls of a. Why? I can take c1 ck to be 0, then 0 belong to that. I can take c1 to be 1, c2 to ck to be 0, then b1 belong to that, and so on. You understand? Okay. So it's also easy to check. Okay, this is a vector subspace. Vector subspace of V. We had already seen it when we discussed in the concept of linear dependence independence. So I just quickly recall that. Okay, right. Okay, so this is what is meant by finite linear combination. We also know what is meant by linear span, or simply say we will also sometimes call only span, because we are in linear algebra, so there is no other concept, so you can simply say it's a span. Okay, next what we want to do is, when do I say a subset, call it a subset A of V, a spanning set for V, for the vector space V. That means if I look at the linear span, that is a span of all vectors in A that is equal to V, then I call it a spanning set. So what is ls of V? Therefore, yeah, try to understand in slightly different way. This means give me any vector in V, it is going to be a linear combination of vectors in A. That's it. So that means given any V, there exists C1 to CK scalars, so that V is of the form C1 V1 plus CK VK. That's what it means. Is it clear? So this is the definition of spanning set. Okay. The next thing is, you already know what is meant by linear dependence and linear independence. So when do I say V1 to Vk is linearly dependent. Okay, that is if and only if there is a j, so that Vj is a linear combination of Vi I not equal to j. That is V1 to Vj minus 1, Vj plus 1 to Vk. This is same as saying Vj belong to the linear span of V1, Vj minus 1, Vj plus 1 to Vk. Do you understand this? Okay. A very standard algebraic way of saying is, we say V1, V2, Vk is linearly dependent if there exists C1 to Ck. This is not the zero tuple. That is, at least one Cj is not equal to 0, so that Cj Vj is 0, j equal to 1 to k. Usually you will say there exists C1, C2, Ck, not all 0, so that summation C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus Ck Vk is 0. So when do I say it's linearly independent? Yep. The moment you say, so when do I say is V1 V2 Vk is linearly independent? This means the moment you say C1 V1 plus Ck Vk, a linear combination is 0, then I can conclude Cj is 0 for all j. Okay, all these things are already known. I'm just quickly recalling so that, okay, we will all be in the same wavelength. Okay, next. So suppose you give me a subset A, okay, and we just now saw what is meant by spanning set. Okay, we will simply say spanning set, but it means spanning set for B. What does it mean? Any vector is a linear combination of elements coming from A, right? That is same as saying linear span of A equal to B. Okay, when do I say A is a minimal spanning set? Okay, when do I say it's a minimal spanning set? That is, if you tell me B is a proper subset of A, then linear span of B is a proper vector subspace of B. That is, it's never equal to B. Right? So, first condition is A is spanning set. Just to be on say, I already assumed A is a spanning set. I'm just repeating. And 2, among spanning set, it's a minimal. What does that mean? Nothing smaller than A, okay, no proper subset of A can be the spanning set. That is same as saying no proper subset B of A can be a spanning set. Set for B. You understand this? See, it's always good whenever you look at some definition, try to reformulate it in your own words. It may be right, it may be wrong, but do not hesitate. You keep doing that so that you will internalize the definition. Otherwise, you will only memorize that and chant it like mantra. Okay? Here, is that clear? What is minimal spanning set? Okay. Now, let us look at B. This is not this B, this is something else. Okay, B is a subset of B. When do I say B is maximal linearly independent? Okay, subset of B. When do I say this? Again, first condition is B is linearly independent. Okay, in B, that's first condition. 2, it's maximal. What does it mean? If you say B is contained in A properly, then can A be linearly independent? No, because this is maximal among linear independent sets. That is, if A contains B properly, then A is linearly dependent, which is same as saying A is not linearly independent. Do you understand that? So that means the moment you let us put it in another word. Therefore, suppose, let's try to understand this. As I said, it's always better to kind of experiment, play with the definition. Suppose B is a vector in B, but not in B. Right? So what do I know? Suppose my B is V1 to Vk. Then let's look at A to be V1 to Vk and V. Okay. Okay. Now I claim V must be linear combination of V1 to Vk. Right? Okay. Now by very definition, we know V1, V2, Vk, V, this set is linearly dependent. That means there exists scalar C1, C2, Ck, C, so that C1, V1 plus Ck, Vk plus Cv is 0. All right. Okay. Now suppose C is not 0, then I am through. If C is not 0, then this is going to be, V is going to be minus 1 by C into C1, V1 plus Ck, Vk. Therefore, V is linear combination of V1 to Vk. That's clear. Okay. Suppose C is not 0. That will be a contradiction, because if C is 0, then I have C1, V1 plus Ck, Vk is 0. But by assumption, this is linearly dependent. That means one of the C1 to Ck and C is 0. C is non-zero. But since I am assuming C is 0, that means there is at least one J such that Cj is not 0. That means, okay, there is a J such that Cj is not equal to 0. This is a contradiction because V1 to Vk linearly dependent. Do you follow that? This contradiction shows this case cannot arise. Therefore, C is not equal to 0. That means that's a linear combination. Is that clear to all? Okay, pause, review, proceed. Now, we are going to, I think all the preliminaries are over for me. So I want to state what the 4 definitions are. Okay, definition 1, let me call it D1, that is a such B equal to, let us call it V1 to Vn subset is a basis of V if every element V in V is a unique linear combination. V1 to Vk. Okay. So let us try to understand what does this mean. Give me any vector in V. It must be a linear combination. That's clear. C1 V1 plus Ck Cn Vn. Okay, or C1 C2 in scalars. But what do I mean by unique linear combination? If you say that's also equal to A1 V1 plus An Vn, then I want to claim that Ai equal to Ci for all I. That is 1 less than or equal to I less than or equal to. Is that clear? So any element is a linear combination of V1 to Vn. Not only linear combination of V1 to Vn, but it is unique. That is, the coefficients in the linear combinations are also unique. That's the definition 1. What is definition 2? So definition 2 is, let us say, I don't know which one will come first, but let's say that is a B is minimal linear. Okay. So B equal to, again, V1 to Vn is a basis of V if B is a minimal spanning set. Okay. We had already explained what is it meant by spanning, also minimal. Finite linear combinations of elements of B equal to V, and no proper subset of V1 to Vn will work. And D3, okay, B is a basis. B is again the same notation. If B is a maximal linearly independent set. So this also we had understood what this is. What is definition 4? It's a linear independent set. It's also maximal among linearly independent sets. Okay. What's the fourth one? Fourth one is B is a spanning set and it's linearly independent. So is that we are using two conditions. One is the second definition says it's a minimal spanning, so I took the word spanning, and the third definition says it's a linear independence and maximal, so I took linear independence. So if you can assure me B spans B and it's also linear independent, then it's also a basis. Okay, is a basis if. Okay, so our idea is to prove all are equivalent. So notice that whenever you have something like this, a standard trick is to prove cyclically. That is, you say definition 1 implies definition 2, definition 2 implies definition 3, definition 3 implies definition 4, and definition 4 implies definition 1. So that means, for example, definition 2 will imply definition 4 because D2 implies D3, D3 implies D4, therefore D2 implies D4 and so on. Okay, this is a standard trick. So let us get into a proof of this. Okay. Okay. So let us assume B1. Let us prove B1, D1, right? Sorry. D1 implies D2. Okay. So what is D2? So let B equal to V1 to Vn. Okay, so which is a base according to definition 1. We want to prove it is a base according to definition 2, that is a minimal spanning set. Okay. Now the first thing is it clear that B is a spanning set? That's clear because what does it say? Give me any vector V in V, then V is going to be a unique linear combination of C1 to Cn. What does this mean? This belongs to linear span of B. Right? Therefore, it's a spanning set. This is clear. Next thing is I want to prove it's a minimal. What does that mean? No proper subset can do the job. What does that mean? Suppose I take, okay, B dash equal to V1, Vj deleted and Vn. Okay, that means Vj is not there. This hat sign means it's a deleted element. So it has only V1, Vj minus 1, Vj plus 1, Vn. Okay, right? Suppose linear span of B dash equal to V. You understand that? You want to say it's a minimal spanning set. So proper subset, let it be a spanning set. Okay, then I want to arrive at a contradiction, right? But that's very clear because if suppose this happens, that means my Vj must be in the linear span of B dash. But that is same as saying it is of the form some A1 V1 plus Aj minus 1 Vj minus 1 plus Aj plus 1 Vj plus 1 and so on plus An Vn. Is that all right? Yes, because Vj must be in V and it is in B equal to linear span of B dash. But notice that therefore what I have done, so far you see that we have not used the uniqueness of the expression. Now we are going to use that. So what do you think I had achieved? I achieved two things. That is, I can write Vj as 0 times V1 plus 0 times Vj minus 1 plus 1 times Vj plus 0 times Vj plus 1 plus 0 times Vn. But I also have written as some A1 V1 plus Aj minus 1 Vj minus 1 plus 0 times Vj, because Vj is not there as same as saying it is 0 times Vj plus Aj plus 1 times Vj plus 1 and so on An times Vn. Either or. But Vj is in a vector and it, by our assumption, V satisfies the first definition. That means when I write V as a linear combination two different ways, then it must be unique. Okay. Therefore, uniqueness of the expression says implies A j, sorry, ai must be 0 for I not equal to j. You follow that? And more importantly, 1 must be equal to 0, because jth coefficient, equating jth coefficient, I get 1 equal to 0. This is a contradiction. Yeah. So what does this contradiction says? Why did the contradiction arise? I said that a proper subset of B can be a spanning set. If that happens, I arrived at a contradiction. Therefore, no proper subset of B can be a spanning set. In other words, it's a minimal spanning set. Therefore, B is a minimal spanning set. Okay. So pause, review, proceed. Now let us assume B is a minimal spanning set. I have to prove B is a maximal linearly independent. Is that clear? Okay. Now, first I have to prove it's a linearly independent. So first question is be linearly independent. We have to check that. After that, we have to check it is maximal with respect to linear independence. Okay. Right. Suppose not. What does that mean? That means there exists a vector. Is it all right if I just denote Vn? Okay. There is a vector, say Vn, which is going to be linear combination of other vectors C1 plus Cn Vn minus 1. Cn minus 1 Vn minus 1. Is that clear? Okay. There is some vector which is the linear combination of other vectors. So I'm with the loss of generality, I am assuming it's the last vector Vn. Okay. Right. Now I want to arrive at a contradiction. Therefore, if I look at B dash equal to V1 to Vn minus 1, I say, okay, linear span of B dash is B. Therefore, B dash is a spanning set. Right? Is that a contradiction? Yes, because B dash is a proper subset of B, and B is supposed to be a spanning set and also a minimal spanning set, but I have found a proper subset which is spanning set. That's a contradiction. You follow that? Therefore, it's enough. I show that it is B dash is a spanning set. That's very clear. Why? Start with any vector in V. I know that V is of the form A1 V1 plus AN Vn, because B is a spanning set. But remember, this I can rewrite as AN minus 1 Vn minus 1 plus AN times Vn, but Vn is going to be this one, C1 V1 plus Cn minus 1 Vn minus 1. Therefore, it's going to be A1 plus AN C1 V1 plus AN minus 1 plus AN times Cn minus 1 times Vn minus 1. So any vector, therefore V is belong to the linear span of V1 to Vn minus 1. Therefore, B dash is a spanning set. This contradicts the fact that B is a minimal spanning set. Okay, so what is the conclusion then? Why did this come about? Because I assumed B is linearly independent, and hence one of the vectors in B is a linear combination of other vectors. Therefore, I concluded that B is linearly dependent. Therefore, there is a contradiction. Therefore, B is linearly independent. The fact B is minimal spanning. Now what next? What I have to prove? I have to say it is maximal linearly independent. It's independent is okay, it's maximal. What does that mean? Give me any vector extra. Suppose V is a vector in V, so that if I take V union V, this is linearly dependent. But that's obvious. Why? Because B, notice that B is a spanning set. By assumption, it's a minimal spanning set, therefore it's a spanning set. Therefore, B already is a linear combination of V1 to Vn. Right? What does this say? This says this is linearly dependent. V linearly dependent on V1 to Vn. That's because I have C1 V1 plus Cn Vn minus V equal to 0. So C1 C2 Cn, my last C is minus 1. Okay. So I have found coefficients not all 0 so that the linear combination is 0. What does that say? That set is it's linearly dependent. So if I add one extra vector to B, then I have shown that it is linearly dependent. Is that clear? Please pay attention. So to show that B is maximally linearly independent, what I have to do? Let B be a proper subset of something, then A is linearly dependent. This is what I am supposed to show. You understand? If B is a proper subset of B, that means there is a vector B which is in A but not in B. This B is a linear combination of what we have done. Is that clear? Okay, so we have proved D2 implies D3. Okay, so pause, review, proceed. Now let's say D3 implies D4. What is D3? D3 is, that is B is a maximal linearly independent. Right? What is that I have to prove? B is linearly independent and spanning set. This is all I have to prove. Right? Okay. By definition, B is maximal linearly independent, therefore B is linearly independent. That's clear. Okay, this is already given. So I only have to prove it's a spanning set, but that's also given because let B as usual V1 to Vn, right? It's a maximal linearly independent. Therefore, if you give me any vector V in V, right? Look at this set V1 to Vn V, okay? And suppose this is not in B, right? Are you following? Yeah. Then what do I know? This is linearly dependent. Why it's linearly dependent? Because B is maximal linearly independent. So any superset strict, okay, this contains B properly. Therefore, this set must be linearly dependent. What does that mean? As I have seen earlier, that means there exists a combination, okay? CV plus C1 V1 plus Cn Vn equal to 0, right? And if C is 0, that will mean, okay, these are not all Z, okay, not all the coefficients 0, right? If C is 0, that means C1 to Cj, one of them is not 0. But that would mean C1 V1 plus Cn Vn is 0. And one Cj is not 0. This would mean V1 to Vn is linearly dependent. This is a contradiction. Right? Okay. Therefore, C is not equal to 0. If C is not equal to 0, then V is going to be, as I did earlier, minus C into C1 V1 plus Cn Vn. So, this is a spanning set. Therefore, that means B belongs to LS of B. So we have proved that it's a linearly independent set. That's by hypothesis, and we just now proved it's a spanning set. Therefore, D3 implies D4. So pause, review, then proceed. Now last portion. We have to prove D4 implies D1. So what is D4? This is V1 to Vn. This is linearly independent, and it's also spanning, right? So what I have to prove? I have to prove given any vector v in V, there exists a unique scalar C1, C2, Cn, scalars, scalar field, so that V is of the form C1 V1 plus Cn Vn. This is what I have to prove, right? But notice that B is a spanning set. Therefore, given any vector V, there always exists scalar C1, C2, Cn, so that V is C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus Cn Vn, except I do not know whether it's unique. This part is not clear. You understood that? So, are you following? Since it's a spanning set, given any vector, I can always write it as a linear combination. Therefore, existence of this thing is scalars C1, C2, Cn, so that this happens is already granted. So what all I have to prove is it's unique. That is, suppose it's also equal to A1 V1 plus AN Vn. Okay, then I have to prove AI equal to Ci for all I. That will prove uniqueness, right? Suppose let us assume one of them is non-zero. Again, for simplicity's sake, let me assume Cn is not equal to AN, right? Then what do I have? Equating these two, I'll have C1 minus A1 times V1 plus etc. Cn minus AN times Vn is 0, right? Equate these two and collect the coefficients for V1, V2, Vn. This is what I get. Now Cn minus Bn is not equal to 0. Cn minus An not equal to 0. Call this as B1, Bn for simplicity. That means Bn is not equal to 0. That means Vn is going to be minus 1 upon Bn into B1 V1 plus Bn minus 1 Bn minus 1. You understood that? Yeah. What does that mean? Or even you can assume this. Okay, you from here itself, if you are comfortable with the standard definition. So I have B1 V1 plus Bn Bn is 0, but Bn is not equal to 0. That means V1 V2 Vn are linearly dependent. But what was our assumption? B is linearly independent. You understand this? So this contradicts. B is linearly independent. Okay, therefore what do I got? I got such an expression is unique. Okay, so we have proved the theorem and complete. Okay, this completes the proof of the theorem. Please go through that. And these are all very easy. But the only way to master linear algebra, in my opinion, is this kind of thing. Go through once or twice so that you become very comfortable. Okay, and please do not worry about remembering the proof. Okay, that's one thing which all students have problem. Please don't. That should be your last worry. Try to understand. Go through 2 or 3 times. If you think you have understood first time, do not be satisfied. If you are satisfied, then check something. Check T, whether you can you can give a direct proof of D2 implies D3 like that, or D2 implies D4 directly. Can you prove it? Try. Okay. And once you do such things, you will become very comfortable. So as exercise, take I not equal to j, one I and j in 1, 2, 3, 4, and prove di implies dj. Okay. Just go through the proof. Try. Once you do 1 or 2 such things, you will become very comfortable. Okay. In the next lecture, we will see how to make use of this to find a basis. Okay. You will see I am going to depend upon the first one. The first one I find it somewhat more geometry. Okay. I will explain that in the next lecture. And second, there is one remark I want to say. Whatever I said, I have done it with respect to V1, V2, Vn finite set, but the same logic actually goes through any infinite dimensional case and any subset B. It may be an infinite subset of an infinite dimensional vector space. By the way, when do I say B is finite dimensional? If there exists a finite set A so that B is linear span of A. That's it. I do not know what is the dimension, but I can define what is finite dimensional. You understood? Okay. So in some other thing, I will look at this in infinite dimensional case also. For the time being, that's it. Okay. So please go through this. As I said, at least go through twice to make sure. The moment you think that is very easy, I had understood. Okay. Test yourself. Check some D2, D4 or D1, D3 or D1, D4 or D4 implies D2, some such thing. Take some arbitrary and try. Okay. You'll be very surprised. If you do two or such things, you will become very, very confident. You will also see you don't have to remember that. Your brain can come up with a proof. Okay. I hope you try. Okay. All the best. Enjoy.